Mecha Musume, Mech Girls, Mobile Suit Girls, or however else you want to call them, are everywhere nowadays. Action figures, model kits, anime, games, etc. But despite their relatively recent boom in popularity, they have a much longer history than you might expect. And of course, the biggest mech franchise ever played a large role in their inception. Let's go back to the 70s. Depending on what your definition of a mech girl is, you could technically say that the first examples of mech girls appeared in Mazinger Z, Aphrodite A, Venus A, Minerva X, Rini X1, etc. But while they, and other characters from the times, can definitely be called mechanical girls, they don't really adhere to the aesthetic that we've come to expect. For that, we have to go to the 80s. It is hard to pinpoint when the first Mecha Musume girls, as we now know them, appeared. Fan-made drawings were apparently being sent into magazines, which might now have been lost to time. But the first major and official appearance of mech girls was Deloyer Nana-chan, a Fang of the Sun Dogram parody manga that was published in the Duel magazine. I couldn't find the exact publishing dates, but it was being published while the anime was running, so sometime between October 23rd, 1981 and March 25th, 1983. And here we can really see a lot of the elements that would define Mecha Musume. Cute girls with armor parts and weapons from deadly combat mechs, paired with a whimsical story that really just serves as a vehicle to show us those cute girls doing what they're doing. Although later on, we would also get more serious stories involving Mecha Musume as well. And fun fact, this manga was drawn by Rei Nakahara under the pen name Amuro Rei, but it is written in hiragana instead of katakana. Shortly after this then, the first Gundam Mecha Musume girls would pop up, with the first example supposedly appearing in the July 1982 issue of the Animech magazine. And around the same time, the second Mobile Suit Variation Handbook would be released, featuring a variety of mobile suits, but also emblems that were used on those machines. And amongst them, Rei Zaku Girl used on a Zaku tank, and the now iconic Goof Girl used on a Goof. And while they are done in that classic nose cone pinup art style, they have undeniable elements of modern mech girls at the same time. The one that really got the Mobile Suit Girl ball rolling then was the Dom Girl published by Masako Sugihara. Not only would he get his own column, where he would publish more Mobile Suit Girls, but 3 of them would even be turned into the first ever official Mobile Suit Girl model kits. The aforementioned Dom Girl, the Zaku Girl, and the Goof Girl. They would all become available through mail order in the May 1984 issue of Moke Joho. The die was cast and there was no turning back now. What is interesting to note here though is that the style of these girls was distinctly different from that image that we have nowadays. Rather than wearing a lot of mechanical parts, it feels more like the characters are wearing a dress that is made to resemble their respective mobile suits, while keeping the mechanical parts to a minimum. 1 year later then, the 1/12th scale Armored Lady line of plastic model kits was announced by Bandai, and was released later that year in December. It consisted of the Mark II Lady and Zeta Gundam Lady from Zeta Gundam, and the Valkyrie Lady from Macross. Just like the earlier resin kits, these were still fixed pose figures, but here we can really see the design elements that would define future Mobile Suit Girls. They're now clad in armor taken from their respective mobile suits, but there is a definite focus on being sexy. It's like the mechanical version of the fantasy bikini armor. Also, there is some kind of backstory to them now, but the English on the box is pretty atrocious. When girls who were born in Armored City grow up 10 years old, put on her armored suit, and take part in a battle simulation game. Each individual armored suit is designed by each girl. So it's a bunch of 10-year-olds trying to beat each other up. That is something that I'm not even going to comment on. Instead, I'm going to tell you that this video was made possible thanks to NordVPN, because a part of my research for this video was through websites no longer accessible in Europe. So if you also need to dodge some of those pesky region logs, you can get NordVPN with a link down below or the code kkrt. Not only will you be getting a sweet discount, but you'll also be supporting the channel. Shoddy English aside though, these armored ladies would lead to one of the biggest events in mech girl history. A certain mecha designer known as Mika Akitaka would be inspired by them, and then began drawing his own Mobile Suit Girls, with one of his first published ones being the Zeta Gundam Girl in the May 1986 issue of the anime, and he would continue drawing more of them until the magazine went under in December of the same year. Another magazine that he contributed Mobile Suit Girls to was Model Graphics, a magazine that is still going strong today as one of the premier modeling magazines in Japan. At some point prior to the release of Char's Counterattack, Mika Akitaka was approached by Sunrise themselves to draw a promotional Mobile Suit Girl for the movie. This new Gundam Girl was then later published in Model Graphics and proved to be so popular that his Mobile Suit Girls would not only be published in the magazine for many years to come, but his Zeta Plus C1 girl would even get her own official garage kit in August of 1989. Again, just like the previous Mobile Suit Girl kits, this was a static figure, but the quality and complexity was well beyond any of the previous offerings. Also, unlike the old figures, this figure could be built either with or without her mobile suit parts, something that we are very familiar with modern Mecha Musume kits and action figures. So while Mika Akitaka wasn't the first one to make Mecha Musume, or even Mobile Suit Girls, he is rightfully so regarded as one of the founding fathers of the genre. The quality and the popularity of his illustrations laid a foundation for what we now consider to be Mecha Musume, and he is still currently active. With the Mecha Musume niche now firmly established, during the 90s and the early 2000s, it would remain just that, a niche. You can find examples of fan art, anime, manga, and video games featuring some Mecha Musume elements, but it wouldn't be until the mid-2000s that it really started to take off. September 7th, 2006, the first of Konami's new Busou Shinki lineup of action figures launches. They feature a highly movable and customizable base body developed by Maki Asai, and the different girls, here called Shinkis, are created by various high-profile designers. Each figure came with a lot of accessories using standardized pegs and joints, meaning you could customize them to your liking, and each figure could also be displayed as a girl without her mechanical parts. And what I also thought was really cool at the time is that every figure came with a code to use that figure and its accessories in the accompanying online game, called Busou Shinki Battle Rondo. The series would remain largely unknown in the West, but in Japan it managed to make quite the splash, with many of the designers who worked on Busou Shinki continuing producing Mecha Musume things. For example, Fumikane Shimada, the designer of Busou Shinki's first lineup. Following the success of Busou Shinki, he would do character designs for series like the less successful Sky Girls, which was also made by Konami, and the infamous Strike Witches, an anime featuring girls who can equip fighter plane parts to their legs, set in a world where pants were apparently forbidden. Mecha Musume was hitting mainstream, and there was no stopping them. Now it would only be a matter of time before a model kit company would swoop in to take advantage of this newfound popularity. October 2009, Kotobukiya releases the first of their brand new frame arms line of plastic model kits, consisting of the Frame Architect, Stilet, and Gorai. But if you Google them, you're going to get some very different results, because in 2014, Kotobukiya released the Frame Arms Girl lineup, consisting of Mecha Musume variants of the mechs released in the Frame Arms line. And, well, the Google results should tell you all you need to know about their popularity. Designed by the aforementioned Fumikane Shimada, saying that the Frame Arms Girls exploded in popularity would be an understatement. And I'm sure that for a lot of modelers, these model kits are the baseline of what a Mecha Musume character is. And because of that immense popularity, Kotobukiya released the Megami Device line in 2016. Simply put, it's the Frame Arms Girl line, but now not based on existing Frame Arms mechs. Instead, the line consists of original designs with some collaborations. For example, Busou Shinki. Unsurprisingly, some of the staff involved with Busou Shinki was also involved with the Megami Device line. And now you might be wondering, since the first Mecha Musume model kits were from Gundam and licensed by Bandai, what were they doing during this time? Holy shit, kill it with fire! On November 2015, they somehow managed to release the high-grade Super Fumina with a face worse than the 1989 Zeta Plus C1 girl. And it looked even worse when compared to the very cute faces of the competing Frame Arms Girl line and the later Megami Device line. Sure, they were much more expensive, but that was money well spent. But Bandai wasn't ready to throw in the towel just yet. They learned from their mistakes with Super Fumina, and they rapidly stepped up their face game, with future Mech Girl and character faces looking significantly better. Just compare the old Super Fumina with the recently released figurized standard Avatar Fumina. And other than Mobile Suit Girls, Bandai would also produce their own line of original Mecha Musume characters, in what definitely looks like an attempt to directly compete with Kotobukiya's offerings. In 2019, Bandai launched the 30-minute Missions series of model kits, featuring cheap mechs that could be built in 30 minutes with an incredible amount of option sets to allow you to customize your mech to your liking. 2 years later then, Bandai would use that same model for the 30-minute Sisters line. You can get a cheap base figure that you can quickly assemble in 30 minutes, and then customize her to your liking with the plethora of option sets available. And since Bandai also makes Gundam model kits, it is apparently very easy to kit bash them into more mobile suit girls. And with that success of both Kotobukiya and Bandai, other companies would also throw their hat into the Mecha Musume ring, giving us a lot of options for both Mecha Musume model kits and action figures. Rewinding a little bit to 2013 then, we have Kantai Collection, or Kancolle for short, because Mecha Musume isn't just about girls with robot parts. They can be girls with any kind of mechanical parts, be they mechs, airplanes, tanks, or ships. Introducing Ship Girls. Real-life warships that have been reimagined as cute girls. And their basic design is very simple. They typically wear high heels styled after the rudder, they'll have hair accessories featuring the sensors and other antennas, and they've got a giant backpack featuring the bow of the ship and of course the main cannons. Unlike the Meg Girls though, Kancolle seems to have maintained a virtual monopoly over Ship Girls. There has been some competition like Azure Lane and even Ship Girls popping up in other games like Nikkei, but generally, when you think Ship Girls, you think Kancolle. Oh, and of course, Bandai also jumped on the bandwagon with a Ship Girl based on the Archangel. Just don't look at her face for too long. This was still at the time Bandai was figuring out how to make him less uncanny. Shiver me timbers indeed. And since we're on the topic of Ship Girls, this is also the perfect opportunity to mention one of my favorite Mecha Musume action figure lines, Tamashii Nation's Armor Girls project, which includes characters from Kancolle, Infinite Stratos, Strike Witches, and of course, Gundam, with designs inspired by the legendary Mika Akitaka and Hajime Katoki, my personal dream team. Unfortunately, the line does seem to have been quietly discontinued in 2018. But this is where our short history of the Mecha Musume genre ends. For now, because more than ever, Meg Girls are trending, and they don't look like they'll be going anywhere anytime soon. So let me know down below what you think about Mecha Musume and how you first found out about the genre. For me, it all started when I stumbled across those Mika Akitaka illustrations by accident, and then things only got worse when I discovered Busou Shinki in the mid-2000s. And as with Gundam, it only got worse from there. So don't forget to check out NordVPN, who made this video possible, with the link down below or the code kkrt. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.